Now, political parties have intensified their push for votes in the upcoming general election. This morning, the Inkata Freedom Party will conclude its two-day campaign in KwaZulu-Natal's KwaMashu and Phoenix. This is ahead of its manifesto launch at the Moses Mabhida Stadium next weekend. Newzroom Afrika's Ntando Mnyandu is on the story and joins us now live with the details. Ntando, very good morning to you. An important push ahead of the election manifesto launch. Talk to us about what's happening there and, of course, what the IFP is hoping to achieve with this event.
1994 and post-1994, it has been in the National Assembly, also in provincial legislations. You would know that the president of the country, Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, announced the date or the election date as the 29th of May this year. So political parties are trying, to solicit votes, scramble for the electorate ahead of the much anticipated elections, which many political parties have likened it to the 1994 election. But today, the IFP is, starting its countdown to the election manifesto launch, which is scheduled for later on in the week, which will be held at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. But to tell us more about what is the party's strategy, ahead of the elections, I'm joined by the party's national spokesperson, Ubabu Mkhuleko Hlengo. Thank you very much, Babu Hlengo, for your time. You have been in Parliament. You know how it's like going to elections. You've been part of elections since 1994. What's different? You held a very successful, one may say, a policy conference. You adopted a lot of policy positions. What are you telling the electorate as you traverse the province of KwaZulu-Natal and the country at large?
Thank you very much, Ntando. Good morning to you and the viewers. Well, obviously, the 29 May elections are make or break for South Africa, because if we continue on the current trajectory of failure, corruption, ineptitude, lack of service delivery, high unemployment, particularly amongst young people, escalating crime, including but not limited to gender-based violence, the country is literally going to crash. We are on our knees. So the IFP is coming into these elections presenting a credible and viable alternative for change. We have got a policy alternative which says to us we can be able to push back on the frontiers of unemployment, poverty and inequality. Much of our focus next week, Sunday, when we launch our manifesto, is going to be around jobs, the economy, and ensuring that we take the country back onto a trajectory of growth. Obviously, infrastructure development is a key factor to that, because we believe that it is central to creating a conducive and enabling environment for job creation. Whilst it is the state's job and government's job to create a conducive environment, we do believe that there are state and government interventions which are necessary and required. So you'll find a heightened sense of public-private partnerships proposals in terms of what it is that we have to do. So today we are literally beginning the countdown to the manifesto launch and to the 29th of May. It's all systems go. For the IFP, you'll know that the timeline has been announced by the IEC. It will be our endeavor to literally comply with that. In fact, the list committee is convening this evening to prioritize the names of candidates as received from the structures to ensure that come Friday, the 8th of May, when we actually have to submit those to the IEC, will certainly do so. We are on the ground. The campaign of the IFP is very much grassroots based. We are activating our branches. In fact, branch inauguration continues because, amongst others, we are relying on branches to be driving our campaign come the 29th of May. But today we're here to make a clarion call, Ntando, to say on the 10th of March we are presenting the IFP Manifesto, and all South Africans are invited to the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban, where the president of the IFP, will be presenting that. As you say, it will be coming out of the policy proposals and policy positions adopted by the IFP at our policy conference in Empangeni in December.
Speaking about policy positions, you would know that whenever at elections time, politicians and political parties speak a very interesting language, a lot of promises, but people on the ground, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, you would know that they are faced with high levels of unemployment, youth unemployment, a lack of water, and a decaying infrastructure. You've got aging infrastructure, and you've got infrastructure that was damaged, particularly by inclement weather conditions and floods. What are you saying, apart from what is on the paper, on your policy positions? What are you saying to people who go to bed without water? What promises the IFP will be bringing on Sunday?
We are presenting a set of commitments which are backed up by a track record of service delivery when we were in government in this province of KwaZulu-Natal from 1994 to 2004. The infrastructure development laid out by the KwaZulu government before that, led by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. And we are currently in government now in 25 municipalities, and service delivery is there for it to speak for itself. Let's make a contrast between the two economic hubs of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. You've got Durban under the rule of the ANC, literally collapsed. It's a shadow of its former self. It was a tourism destination, and the ANC has completely failed. There's a wildcat strike as we speak now because of the maladministration, poor governance, corruption. The list is endless. Durban is a mess. It is en route to being the hell of this province. On the other hand, you've got Mnyandu under the leadership of the IFP. Mayor Xolani was leading programs of service delivery, restoring Mnyandu, which we are positioning as, the economic hub of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, to make sure that the port terminal there, amongst others, replaces Durban. We are sorting out infrastructure development, as you say, access to water. We are cleaning up the mess. So where the IFP, amongst others, is good at is that we are good at cleaning up the mess. Wherever we have been re-elected into government, and where we are elected into government, we are able to make significant and sufficient strides towards service delivery. So if anybody is really interested in terms of what the IFP is doing, can do, and will be doing, go to where we govern, and you will see a marked difference between what we do and what those other guys are doing. The honest truth is that the ANC is no longer fit for purpose. It has collapsed this country, and if they are given another chance, South Africans will be sentencing this country to death. And so we cannot allow that. And so as the IFP, we are making these significant pushes because we fundamentally believe that the policy proposals we have work. On water infrastructure and water provision, it remains an apex priority for the IFP, and you will hear in the manifesto and in the policy proposals that we have that we fundamentally believe that every effort has to be made, and we are laying out a plan in terms of how we can do that. So we do believe that where we govern, amongst others, and where we want to govern, we will be able to do that. We also believe that there has to be a fundamental change in the application of the Section 139 interventions in terms of the Constitution into municipalities, in that they have to be deliverables, and it has to be interventions which are not political in nature, but ones which seek to address problems. At eThekwini, we believe the first action step of the provincial government that will be led by the IFP under the premiership of Ntando is to institute a Section 139 intervention into eThekwini. Because if you collapse the infrastructure and you collapse the economy of eThekwini, you are crippling the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And so that's why every effort now is being made by the IFP in Mnyandu and Newcastle to reposition the economic activity to other hubs so that we can rescue the economy of eThekwini whilst we deal with the problems of eThekwini.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is Mkhuleko Hlengwa, the national spokesperson for the Inkata Freedom Party, ahead of this much anticipated countdown to the election manifesto scheduled for Sunday. We are coming to you live from KwaMashu B section here in KwaZulu-Natal.